Hi, and welcome to another educational video from Catspit Productions. Today, I thought I would talk a little bit about equipment. And I just want to preface by saying I know there are a lot of people on YouTube who employ what we would call garage boy techniques, and a lot of people who work out of their homes and do a lot of hobbies and arts and crafts from their homes. And that's good, that's great. And all those home-based skills and tactics are great for producing shirts for your friends and families. But what I have discovered in my personal experience is that if you want to go commercial, the abilities that you have in the home with makeshift equipment are limited and can be problemsome. So you know, when you go into a commercial aspect of screen printing, what you really need to be able to do is produce the highest quality product at the fastest rate. And that's where professional equipment comes into play, because it has decades of engineering and things that have been worked out for you, so that all you need to do is know how to operate the piece of equipment properly, and your product, basically, it's a cakewalk. Screen printing is very easy if you have the right tools to do it. And that doesn't mean that you can't do it without professional equipment. You certainly can. What I'm trying to say is that the gist of my message is that professional equipment will enable you to produce a high quality print with very little effort. Okay, and with a garage boy technique or a homemade press or a very intricate system for printing on a tabletop with loose screens and this and that is all very good and, you know, good and dandy for, like I said, friends and family. But when it comes to printing 500 shirts, you know, you really, you know, it starts to become a problem, and all those little variables that are a part of the home-based system come into play on a big run. You know, so with that said, there are a few key pieces of professional equipment that you can get, and then surround yourself with other items to fill in the blanks and make stuff yourself, or have it made, or use different items that might not be intended for screen printing but use them to do the job. And I think for me, my key components are that I need a press. I need a press like this with micro reg. I do a lot of jobs that have very fine registration. I like to have a dryer as well, because curing your shirts with a flash dryer can be inconsistent. And again, if you're running 500 pieces, you certainly don't want the customer coming back with a couple hundred or 100 pieces or even 50 pieces that weren't cured properly and they're washing out, because word of mouth is one of the best means of advertisement for screen printers. So you're better off making sure your product is 100% before you let it go out onto the streets. Otherwise, you can ruin your reputation before you even get started. Okay. Another key component, of course, would be the flash dryer. I need a flash dryer to be able to do the multicolor prints on the press. And I know a lot of people will suggest different items for a flash dryer, but I find that, you know, the flash dryer made for screen printing functions the best. It's the safest and the most reliable piece of equipment that I've found for flash drying. And of course, the exposure unit. I need an exposure unit. It's so much more consistent and easy to expose your screens when you have a light table rather than doing it in the sun. Now, an exposure unit is one of those pieces of equipment that you can certainly build. You can build an exposure unit pretty easily and get really good results out of a homemade exposure unit. So that's one piece of equipment that you could consider building yourself. And you know, it's simple. I won't get into how I would build one, but it's a great thing. So today, I thought I would talk a little bit about the press. Okay, so let's get into the press. This press here is what we call a 6-color, 1 station. Okay, we'll move over to the print station in a minute, but the station basically refers to the amount of pallets that you have coming out. As you can see, I have no pallet arms over here with no pallets. So this unit has one pallet arm that's one station for 6 heads. Okay, these are known as heads. This particular head is a rear clamp or a rear bracket, rear mount, whatever you want to call it. I like the rear mounts as opposed to the side mounts. I find that side mounts can be a little bit wiggly. I just don't like the side mount. I like the rear clamp. It's very cool. Okay, and this is your obviously this is the head carousel, and this spins around so that you can do multiple prints over at your multiple colored prints over at your one print station. Now, if this unit had more print stations, it would have a second carousel on which the pallets and pallet arms would rotate. And if you look at my video, it's called Screen Printing Trade Show Machines. If you look at that one, the first couple of presses on that video are manual screen printing presses that have multiple print stations, and there's 2 carousels. The top carousel that rotates the screens, and the lower carousel which rotates your pallets. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the head. Okay, so this is the print head, and these knobs here are obviously to lock in your screen. Screen goes in here, you screw these down and it locks in. Okay, and then you can see that we have 2 knobs here. These loosen the locks for the micro registration. Okay, these are micro registration knobs, and what these are used for is when you line up one screen, you have one color lined up and you want to line up the next color. Well, rather than trying to make big adjustments, or rather making small adjustments by loosening your clamp and moving the screen, you leave your screen clamped in, you loosen these 2 bolts here, and then you use these little knobs back and forth to fine-tune the alignment of your registration, and it will move this way as well as this way. Okay, so that's pretty cool, and that's more of a luxury type of feature for a press. Not all presses have micro registration, and it's certainly not necessary. However, it is very handy, and it speeds up the registration of your job. It's a wonder. It's a beautiful thing to have, especially if it's working properly. It's just a great thing. Okay, and these 2 knobs on the side, there are 2 knobs on the side here. These will loosen, and there's 2 bolts as well. They loosen, and it allows the head to tilt up and down like this, so that you can maintain a parallel situation between your palette and the screen, so that it's parallel, nice and straight. Okay, so these will adjust that, and it also has a little bit to do with your off contact. As I was saying, that the adjustment of the head this way has a little bit to do with, or a lot to do with, your off contact. And the off contact on this press, there's 2 bolts right here that you loosen, and then the whole bracket here will move up and down, and you lock it in. You have to be very careful to make sure it's parallel and all that, so that you don't have one side down further than the other, and you do that in conjunction with this adjustment this way, so that your screen is parallel to your palette and it is at the proper height for your off contact. Let's take a quick look at the print station. Okay, so here's the print station. This is your palette arm. As you can see, my palette arm is fixed, and here's your registration lock, so that the head comes down and it locks into those 2 wheels, so that the screen is in the same position every time, no matter which head comes down into that locking position. Okay, and that's about it. Print station, palette arm, palette, print head, micro registration, screen locking brackets, screen carousel, upper carousel. Your lower carousel would be your pallets. And that's about it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this segment.